Honest concerns about the game. First things first. Don't get me wrong, I love the game, but I am getting concerned that Saber abandoned Space Marine 2 to work on the sequel. It honestly feels like Space Marine 2 is now going to forward on a skeleton crew. Wait, Saber abandoned Space Marine 2 to work on the sequel. Do they mean the third installment? I don't know what the threequel. Regardless, I don't think they're really going to abandon the game, no. But okay, let's continue. Cosmetics are a mess. A perfect example is the BA pack, the Blood Angels. The Blood Angels, who is known for artistic pieces of armor, where Saber actually could work some cool visuals, and they gave us lazy helmets I've ever seen. The laziest helmets I ever seen. It's paid. Like, if the monocle helmet was something you get from an event or deal, something like that, cool, but for paid content, it's so lazy. I disagree. I kind of like the helmet. But yeah, I don't know. We will see. We will see what it comes out and what it looks like, but I kind of like it. But okay, let's continue. Most cosmetics outside of a few are so plain boring. Pauldron's Grieve options are super uninspired 80% of the time, and even at that, they come in fear of missing out events or locked behind the season pass. Well, okay. The locked behind the season pass, I don't know. I feel like this guy's being a little bit harsh on cosmetics here a bit. But it's kind of funny how they work this into saying, like, you know, that they're going to abandon the game, but they are adding content into it, so I do think the devs should release a statement on what they plan to do with, you know, the next class, maybe a second roadmap. That would be nice, but ultimately I don't think it deserves this type of criticism. The Blood Angels, we've talked about the Blood Angels cosmetics. You know what? I didn't really see everything that the Blood Angels are getting, but I do like that helmet. And I do have a season pass, so I don't know. It's fine for me for now, I guess. Balance is also a mess. Some weapons are almost useless. I disagree. I think there's maybe one or two. Some straight up dominate the game. I think balance, honestly, for weapons are fine. Like, there's maybe one or two weapons that are just really good. Like, there's nothing like the grenade launcher. Enemies are bullet sponges. What? Wait. Some weapons dominate the game, but enemies are bullet sponges. You get stun locked by anything. Spore mines are still spawning out of nowhere and insta-killing players. Okay, well, the spore mines, yeah, that's fair. That's everything else is like basically hyperbole, but then they're like, spore mines are also kind of unbalanced. Then it's like, sheesh, yeah, you're right. Hitboxes are a mess sometimes. Honestly, when it comes to connection and the fact that they made, you know, certain attacks have bigger windows and higher difficulties, I can see where you can, you know, catch that. Thropes laser beam, and don't even get me started on chaos. Oh, nah, go ahead. Go ahead, talk about chaos. You get stun locked by anything. I don't know about anything, but yeah, stun locks can definitely be an issue. Some weapons are almost useless. There's like one or two weapons that are almost useless. Some straight up dominate the game. I don't know. Dude, honestly, I really think that when it comes to weapon balance, that it's fine. I think, you know, they can say what they say about cosmetics. That's basically, you know, that's their right. That's their opinion. But I think the weapons are better balanced than at launch, 100%. I think this is basically the most balanced the game has been, something like that. Besides spore mines, you know, definitely spore mines are kind of wild. On the content side, it's not that much better. Content is being drip fed to a degree that a majority of the player base just up and left. And yeah, the game is not a live service excuse. It's gonna show up. But let's be honest, it is. Just saying it isn't doesn't change the fact that it is for sure a live service game. I don't know, man. Sheesh. Everyone's stretching the opinion of this live service. I just think it's funny how he's like, you know what? You're saying it's not a live service game is an excuse. But for me, I'm going to say it is a live service game, and I'm right. Pretty 400 IQ debate tactics here for 100%. This is kind of funny. On the content side, it's not that much better. Nah, I feel like Trigon Prime, I still like fighting him. Same thing goes with the Hive Tyrant. I think with Chaos, it would be nice to get like a real Chaos operation that has a nice boss at the end. But I like Obelisk. Fall of Atreus can get a little bit old. I'll give that, you know, Fall of Atreus is the one where I'm like, sheesh. Reliquary, I haven't really played too much Reliquary recently. I should jump into Reliquary. Reliquary at the very least would feel very, you know, it would feel like the hardest operation. So at least they have that going on for it. But Fall of Atreus, it's kind of like, it's not too hard, but yeah, those those objectives can get pretty tiring after a couple times. But most of the operations I enjoy. And yeah, I've been still leveling up weapons and trying out perks, so I'm not sure. I'm still like trying things out. As far as content for me right now, I'm just kind of just casually trying things out, trying out different builds and different perks that may have been overlooked. And then, of course, I am taking my time with Prestige, but I do have half of my class is Prestige 4, so that's still pretty good. The thing is, they are doing an awful job at it, so trying to weasel their way out of that label softens the blow. The test server gets a ton of community feedback, 90% of it being straight up ignored. Just look at that whole Prestige debacle. What? No, the feedback for Prestige is the fact that it could take a bit longer, and then they buffed experience. It's not like they could just straight up just, solve. I don't know. Guys... We understand this post is going a little bit too. I don't know. I don't think it's in good faith ultimately. I started this post because I was thinking, oh, okay, they're kind of concerned with this. They're kind of concerned with the the lifespan of the game, because that's what I picked up at first. But yeah, now I don't know. As far as content goes, that's fine. Whatever. I still think if you're kind of having trouble with playing the game, you might be playing, with the same class or the same weapon too much, something like that. It depends on if you want to play the game more. And honestly, if you haven't tried PvP, just try it out. There's always that. I feel bad for PvP Chaos enjoyers. Saber just refuses to give that part any attention. Like, this game is called Space Marine 2, man. I don't think getting any sort of, like, chaos missions or anything was ever going to be... like on the docket. I don't think it was something they sold in the trailer. Like, sheesh. I could probably go a little bit harder on this post, but let's continue. I am actually starting to believe Saber left Space Marine 2 to a skeleton crew now. Every new content is minimal. Cosmetics are lazy and uninspired. Outside the money champion ones. Well, see, the champion ones are free for season pass enjoyers, so I don't know. Maybe don't expect really good free cosmetics from a game that didn't promise that. The game sold well. They took the money and are now focused on Space Marine 3. Okay. They took the money that we gave them and are now making another game. How horrible. That is really concerning, seeing the game hasn't even got to its 1-year anniversary. Honestly, I think that's good, to be completely honest. I think the fact that they were that ready to announce Space Marine 3, considering how hard it is to make a game nowadays and, how much it takes, I think that means they had what it takes to get it done, and they were eager to get to it. And not to mention, with Siege Mode coming out, I'm really not concerned about the content. Cosmetics are normally something that needs to grow on me. I will be honest, like, even with the champion skin for Tactical, I didn't really like it. But as soon as I used it, and as soon as I started to, like, see all the details and everything in-game, I really enjoy it. I don't really take it off now. But okay, let's continue. Let's finish, actually. It already feels that it's being abandoned, and handing over the keys to modders this early in the game's lifespan just cements that for me. Yeah, the keys, yeah. They're handing them over tools, not the keys to the game. It's not like modders are going to start making patches. Which would, maybe one day. That would be interesting. Give modders a job if they're good at it, but I just don't know why we need the negative context within it. Sorry for the yap session bad English. I just wanted to vent a bit. No, it was fine. Actually, as far as English goes, this was, there's people who probably speak English that do worse English than this. But ultimately, yeah, this was a pretty wild post. I think some things I hear are just, obviously I disagree with, but then some things I hear are like worthy talking about, like as far as the lifespan of the game and what the devs are planning to do for the future of it. I do think the devs are going to deliver on those sort of questions, and I think Siege Mode is going to be a good opportunity to see potentially what this game now has to offer for the future. Like, if Siege Mode can get a patch, that would be very nice. We still have, like, what, 3 operations that were confirmed in leaks. I honestly don't think they would promise anything. Like, they did mention they were going to keep adding operations before they mentioned the new class. I don't think they would mention any of that stuff if they had a skeleton crew and weren't confident that these things could be delivered. Ultimately, if, I don't really think the size of what or how many people are working on Space Marine 2 is really a concerning topic. I do think the sentiment of actually wondering what the devs plan on doing for the rest of the lifespan of the game, I do think that is a good way to approach this conversation. But ultimately, balance is the best it's been. Most cosmetics, I'm excited to see the Blood Angel stuff, even though it's like a little bit of it. I still think it's, people can get creative in this game. Not to mention it adds it into the game, and then with modders, as they mentioned with the keys, modders can definitely get just as creative, and we're going to see some amazing Blood Angels centered mods and everything, so I'm excited to see that. So ultimately, the only negative I can really grab in this that I think they're warranted in essentially complaining about is spore mines and maybe stun locks. That's practically it. I mean, you know what? No, they have a point about PvP. I do feel bad for PvP. I'm actually getting the itch to play PvP a little bit again. I kind of want to try out some of the the weapon changes in PvP. I haven't really done that. And I think that would be worthy to, jump back on. But holy cow. Holy cow, this was quite the post. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'm going to go into the comments. This is going to be an interesting read. The game is still getting active content updates. Anyone with an opinion worth the dang says the game PvE is in a really good spot balance-wise, safe for one class, the Assault class. Bullet sponges and getting stun locked are unironically a skill issue. I would say, look, yeah, I get that for sure. I understand, at least some of the repeatable ones, but ultimately there are ways to get stun locked in this game that that don't feel very balanced. For one, the Neurothrope, sometimes Neurothrope can definitely spam those circles over each other as you're catching an enemy, which essentially puts you into stun lock range for those circles. Yeah, there's a lot of stun locks in this game that feel a bit heavy. But still, does it break the game, or does it make me concerned for the future of the game? Not really. I think a lot of these issues, again, I do think skill issues kind of a harsh way to put it, but I do think you can play around it. Bullet sponges, yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen a real bullet sponge in this game for a long time, I have to be honest. Outside of, like, Terminus enemies, maybe? I guess it depends. I mean, if you're playing Bulwark, they can definitely feel a little bit bullet spongy because of the intimidating aura bug that is happening on pretty much every Terminus besides the Hive Tyrant, I think. I mean, maybe the Trigon Prime would be worth running it. Every class has an anti-stun perk baked in somewhere, and bullet sponginess is solved by not using a green weapon in Ruthless and also having aim worth a dang. I mean, he's right about that, but as far as the green weapon in Ruthless. Anti-stun perks, yeah, we talked about these. Like, they're hit or miss. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I guess it really all depends on how you build, your character. Spore mines are still annoying, but I wouldn't call them BS. Having them spawn on top of you is mostly mitigated, except for Bivores. They're 100% priority anyway. Number one priority. But a lot of spore mine deaths can be solved by playing patiently. Thropes are annoying, and the laser can piss off. So they don't like the laser, but I think spore mines are definitely in a worse spot than zone thropes for the most part. Chaos, it's whatever. It's part of the game. Requires you to play completely differently, but we're getting an update on them anyway. What? Like a Chaos, we'll see. Chaos, I don't think they're getting reworked. I don't know what they mean by this. I don't know where you get the sentiment from that most weapons are dang useless. Yeah, I don't think they said most. What they said a lot or something, though. There's like 2 guns I'd wager are mostly not worth taking over any other option. Yeah, that's exact. Yeah, pretty much. One of them being Inferno Pistol. Ooh, whoa, I disagree. It's still serviceable, just not worth the other over the other options. I mean, fair, I guess. It depends. I like using it just as an gaunt clear for weapons that feel like they need to be a little bit more precise and priority targeted. Certain weapons like the bolt sniper, you want to find a priority target for that weapon, not waste it on a gaunt. And I think Inferno Pistol does a great job at clearing out gaunts. And auto bolt rifle, wow, shots fired. I would have put like a bolt pistol here or something. Bolt rifles on TAC and Vanguard are now worth using, while Plasma and Melta are still strong. They are. Same for melee weapons, yes. The auto bolt rifle though, dude, I actually like that weapon. I'm actually gonna use the auto bolt rifle soon, just to prove this commenter wrong. It's pretty good. It's serviceable now. It's not like I will admit their description of saying there's better weapons, they're fine with that. That's true, but ultimately the auto bolt rifle can be used. The amount of content we've gotten has not changed since launch, and we have, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's not like there was a skeleton crew or whatever. It's not like that's something new if that was the case. We have known what we're getting per the roadmap laid out since day one. They're not a AAA studio. You're being extremely whiny. Sheesh. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's right about this whole, like, live service AAA studio situation, because this game did not, you know, they didn't have a lot of money for this game. So for them saying we're not a live service, I think that's more of like a stake in how much they can just, you know, how much resources they have to continuously add to the game, consecutive, like, weeks and all of that. So I think, I'm not too sure if that's super relevant, but yeah, they definitely don't have AAA studio money. So even if they wanted to be a live service game, I'm not too sure if that's something they could have accomplished. Ultimately, I think they're doing the best they can with what they have. This is a pretty interesting comment chain. I'm going to try to find one more, but, you know, a lot of people here are kind of, like, back and forth. I get where you're coming from. As a Raven Guard fan, I was happy with what we got with cosmetics. I have to say, the Raven Guard cosmetics are turning into, like, my go-to whenever I'm not too sure how to finish off a certain look. And yeah, the Raven Guard cosmetics always are a good option. As a Blood Angels fan, I got really mixed feelings. There is so much room for creativity in terms of cosmetics that I can't help but feel like it is wasted potential. I am trying to stay hopeful since I play this game a lot and want to see it in better shape. I know updates take time, so I will wait for the next ones and see if at least the cosmetic system has changed, since the game is giving a lot of content in the fashion side of things. I will admit, if like, cosmetics are, like, your number one concern, I think you're in good hands with that, because they've done a lot of cosmetic stuff recently. But yeah, the whole fear of missing out, if you're not taking advantage of the events, I can understand where you're kind of, like, you know, underwhelmed in that sense. But also, if you're not taking advantage of the events and not taking advantage of ordeals and don't have a season pass, yeah, I think that's where the cosmetic concern is, and that's fair. Maybe they need to add more free cosmetics. Maybe. I believe we do have, like, a handful on their way or something like that, but ultimately, all right, that's a fair enough point, I guess. That doesn't really put me in a position to really question what is down the line, though. So ultimately, I guess the question comes to you guys now, and how you feel about the future of the game, and where you are positive and where you are negative. But yeah, the lifespan of Space Marine 2 is going to be a, you know, probably a solid subject moving forward, especially after Siege Mode and what they delivered there. But yeah, again, let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this. Thanks for watching.